that what my part of Halloween is all about?"
"All, boy, all," murmured Mound Shroud. "The Egyptians, why, they built to last. 10,000 years they planned for. Tombs, boy, tombs. Graves, mummies, bones. Death, death. Death was at the very heart, gizzard, light, soul, and body of their life. Tombs and more tombs with secret passages, so none might be found, so grave robbers could not borrow souls and toys and gold. You are a mummy, boy, because that was how they dressed for eternity. Spun up in a cocoon of threads, they hoped to come forth like lovely butterflies in some far, dear, loving world. Know your cocoon, boy. Touch the strange stuffs.
"Why,"
said Ralph the mummy, blinking at the smoky walls and old hieroglyphs,
"every day was Halloween to them."
"Every day," gasped all in admiration. Every day was Halloween for them, too. Mound Shroud pointed. The boys turned. A kind of green electric storm simmered in the tomb dungeon. The ground shuddered as with an ancient earthquake. Somewhere, a volcano turned over in its sleep, lighting the walls with one fiery shoulder. And on the walls beyond were prehistoric drawings of cavemen long before the Egyptians. "Now," said Mound Shroud. Lightning struck. Saber-toothed tigers caught the cavemen screaming. Tar pits drowned their bones. They sank wailing. "Wait, let's save a few with fire." Mound Shroud blinked. Lightning struck to burn forests. One ape-man, running, seized a burning branch and rammed it in a saber-tooth's jaws. The tiger shrieked and fell away. The ape-man, snorting in triumph, tossed the fiery branch into a pile of autumn leaves in his cave. Other men came to hold their hands out to the fire, laughing at the night where the yellow beast eyes waited, afraid. "See, boys." Mound Shroud's face flickered with the fire. "The days of the long cold are done. Because of this one brave, new-thinking man, summer lives in the winter cave."
"But," said Tom, "what's that got to do with Halloween?"
"Do? Why, blast my bones, everything. When you and your friends die every day, there's no time to think of death, is there? Only time to run. But when you stop running at long last—" He touched the walls. The ape-men froze in mid-flight. "Now you have time to think of where you came from, where you're going, and fire lights the way, boys. Fire and lightning. Morning stars to gaze at. Fire in your own cave to protect you." Only by night fires was the caveman, beast-man, able at last to turn his thoughts on a spit and baste them with wonder. The sun died in the sky. Winter came on like a great white beast shaking its fur, burying him. Would spring ever come back to the world? Would the sun be reborn next year, or stay murdered? Egyptians asked it. Caveman asked it 1,000,000 years before. Will the sun rise tomorrow morning?
"And that's how Halloween began?"
With such long thoughts at night, boys, and always at the center of it, fire. The sun dying down the cold sky forever. How that must have scared early man, eh? That was the big death. If the sun went away forever, then what? So, in the middle of autumn, everything dying, ape-men turned in their sleep, remembered their own dead of the last year. Ghosts called in their heads. Memories, that's what ghosts are, but ape-men didn't know that. Behind their eyelids, late nights, the memory ghosts called, waved, danced. So ape-men woke up, tossed twigs on the fire, shivered, wept. They could drive away wolves, but not memories, not ghosts. So they held tight to their ribs, prayed for spring, watched the fire, thanked invisible gods for harvests of fruit and nuts. Halloween indeed. 1,000,000 years ago in a cave in autumn with ghosts inside heads and the sun lost. Mound Shroud's voice faded. He unraveled another yard or two of mummy wrappings, draped them over his arm grandly, and said, "More to see. Come on, boys." And they walked out of the catacombs into the twilight of an old Egyptian day. A great pyramid lay before them, waiting. "Last one to the top," said Mound Shroud, "is a monkey's uncle." And the monkey's uncle was Tom. Chapter 11. Gasping, they reached the pyramid's top, where waited a vast crystal lens, a viewing glass which spun slowly in the wind on a golden tripod, a gigantic eye with which to bring far places near. In the west, the sun, smothered and dying in clouds, sank. Mound Shroud hooted his delight. "There it goes, boys, the heart, soul, and flesh of Halloween. The sun. There Osiris is murdered again. There sinks Mithras, the Persian fire. There falls Phoebus Apollo, all Grecian light. Sun and flame, boys. Look and blink. Turn that crystal spyglass. Swing it down the Mediterranean coast 1,000 miles. See the Greek Isles?" "Sure," said plain George Smith, dressed up as Fancy Pale Ghost. "Cities, towns, streets, houses, people jumping out on porches to bring food." "Yes," Mound Shroud beamed. "Their festival of the dead. The Feast of Pots, trick or treat, old style, but tricks from the dead if you don't feed them. So treats are laid out in fine banquets on the sill." Far away, in the sweet dusk, smells of cooked meats steamed, dishes were dealt out for spirits that smoked across the land of the living. The women and children of the Grecian homes came and went with multitudinous quantities of spiced and delectable victuals. Then, all through the Grecian Isles, doors slammed. The vast slamming echoed along the dark wind. "The temple's shutting tight," said Mound Shroud. "Every holy place in Greece will be double-locked this night." "And look!" Ralph, who was a mummy, swung the crystal lens. The light flared over the boys' masks. "Those people, why are they painting black molasses on their front doorposts?" "Pitch," corrected Mound Shroud. "Black tar to glue the ghosts, stick them fast so they can't get inside." "Why," said Tom, "didn't we think of that?" Darkness moved down the Mediterranean shores. From the tombs, like mist, the dead spirits wavered in soot and black plumes along the streets to be caught in the dark tar that smeared the porch sills. The wind mourned, as if telling the anguish of the trapped dead. Now, Italy. Rome. Mound Shroud turned the lens to see Roman cemeteries where people placed food on graves and hurried off. The wind whipped Mound Shroud's cape. It hollowed his mouth. "Oh, autumn winds that bake and burn, and all the world to darkness turn, now storm and seize and make of me a swarm of leaves from autumn's tree." He kick-jumped straight up in the air. The boys yelled delight, even as his clothes, cape, hair, skin, body, corn-candy bones tore apart before their eyes. Leaves. Burn. Change. Turn. The wind ribboned him to confetti. 1,000,000 autumn leaves, gold, brown, red as blood, rust, all wild, rustling, simmering, a clutch of oak and maple leaf, a hickory leaf downfall, a toss of flaking whisper, murmur, rustle to the dark River Creek sky. Not one kite, but 10,000 tiny mummy-flake kites. Mound Shroud exploded apart. World turn, leaves burn, grass die, trees fly. and from a billion other trees in autumn lands, leaves rushed to join with the upflung battalions of dried bits that were Mound Shroud dispersed in whirlwinds from which his voice stormed. Boys, see the fires along the Mediterranean coast. Fires burning north through Europe, fires of fear, flames of celebration. Would you spy, boys? Up now, fly! And the leaves in avalanche fell upon each boy like terrible flapping moths and carried them away. Over Egyptian sands they sang and laughed and giggled. Over the strange sea, rapturous and hysterical, they soared. "Happy New Year!" a voice cried far below. "Happy what?" asked Tom. "Happy New Year." Mound Shroud, a flock of rusty leaves, rustled his voice. In old times, the 1st of November was New Year's Day, the true end of summer, the cold start of winter. Not exactly happy, but, well, Happy New Year. They crossed Europe and saw new water below. "The British Isles," whispered Mound Shroud. "Would you cock an eye at England's own druid god of the dead?" "We would." "Quiet as milkweed then, soft as snow. Fall, blow away down, each and all." The boys fell. Like a bushel of chestnuts, their feet rained to earth. Chapter 12. Now the boys who landed like a downpour of bright autumn trash were in this order: Tom Skelton, dressed up in his delicious bones; Henry Hank, more or less a witch; Ralph Bengstrom, an unraveled mummy becoming more unbandaged by the minute; a ghost named George Smith; J.J., no other name needed, a very fine ape-man; Wally Babb, who said he was a gargoyle, but everyone said he looked more like Quasimodo; Fred Fryer, what else but a beggar fresh out of a ditch; and last and not least, Hackles Nibley, who had run up a costume at the last moment by simply clapping on a white scare mask and grabbing his grandpa's harvest scythe off the garage wall. All the boys being safely landed on English earth, their billion autumn leaves fell off and blew away. They stood in the midst of a vast field of wheat. "Here, Master Nibley, I brought your scythe. Take it. Grab. Now lie low," warned Mound Shroud, the druid god of the dead. "Samhain. Fall." They fell. For a huge scythe came skimming down out of the sky. With its great razor edge it cut the wind. With its whistling side it sliced clouds. It beheaded trees. It razored along the cheek of the hill. It made a clean shave of wheat. In the air a whole blizzard of wheat fell. And with every whisk, every cut, every scythe, the sky was aswarm with cries and shrieks and screams. The scythe hissed up. The boys cowered. "Grrr," grunted a large voice. "Mr. Mound Shroud, is that you?" cried Tom. For towering 40 feet above them in the sky, an immense scythe in his hands, was this cowled figure, its face in midnight fogs. The blades swung down. Hiss! "Mr. Mound Shroud, let us be!" "Shut up!" Someone knocked Tom's elbow. Mr. Mound Shroud lay on the earth beside him. "That's not me. That's—" "Samhain," cried the voice in the fog. "God of the dead, I harvest thus, and so." Swoosh! "All those who died this year are here, and for their sins this night are turned to beasts." Swum! "Please," whimpered Ralph the mummy. The scythe zippered Hackles Nibley's spine, ripping his costume in a long tear.